Today's story is debate between husband and wife over a piece of book in the library, or let's say it's a debate between husband and wife on who is better or who is more intelligent. Let's see who wins at the end of the debate, husband or wife. Here we go. Are you listening to me, or have you decided not to go on your stupid path? The books I have selected will help Nishan to develop his brain power, husband said in a weird, irritating tone. Let's focus on picking only those books that will help in increasing the percentile. I want him to get A grades, be on top of the school. And what do you mean by that previous statement of yours? So my paths are moronic, huh? And yours are highly prudent, right? The wife retorted back. Husband responded with a smile. If we take a statistical count, you know the outcome. Wife interrupting the husband said, Wait, let me tell you. And here comes her big list of when her decisions were sagacious, the date, time. Hope she don't list the seconds and milliseconds. So wifey's long list. My attention was grabbed by the husband and wife talks in rather loud voice. Initially I was absorbed in my book, trying to read as much as I can in the calm environment of the library. But their voices made me to put the book aside and listen to their conversation. It seemed to me rather an interesting conversation, but as I progressed through the conversation, it changed my thoughts completely. So here comes the wifey's long list. She turned to her husband and said, Number 1, remember when we had Muramba last summer? Do you remember that summer? Everyone around was eating so much of Muramba, especially your uncle. But I stopped you from having one. So you didn't get allergies, and see, look at your uncle. He ate way too much Muramba and ended getting piles. My thoughts here, what had Muramba to do with piles? It was a sheer coincidence. To listen more clearly, I went near the aisle adjacent to the sitting area and grabbed more books. So here was the first discovery of science that Muramba causes piles. Bravo. Intelligent wife. Go ahead, I'm more interested to listen your other genius points. The wife continues with her list. Number 2. We followed the pregnancy calendar on when to conceive based on the dates, birth and some logistic data. And so we have a son today, and you wanted one to fulfill football dreams, or else we would have had daughter. I thought for a while. He would have equally loved the daughter, and she would have been eventually in the sports league. So because of our logistics of pregnancy calendar, they have a son today, and he is fulfilling all their dreams. So differentiation between a daughter and a son. Wife who claimed to be intelligent with a smart smile sat on the edge of the sofa, and the opponent silent husband pulled up the remaining catalogue listening to her long boring list. So after pregnancy calendar, here comes number 3. Because of my lengthy discussions with Kritika on what books her children are reading, we finally came to know about this library. My mind started talking. Hey, his office colleague friend also could have told him, or you can even Google out about this library. The son would have eventually frowned from his friends. Go on, girl, and honestly, I don't know why all-time blabbering husband was now suddenly quiet. I never understood this factor that during important occasions all guys prefer silence, otherwise they act as a guide leading directions on a spiritual path. Do they think tranquility speaks more than defense, or that is the only option left in certain circumstances? Well, yeah, sometimes I feel serenity gives a matured perspective, but then pouring yourself out makes you take a deep breath. After all, I'm a woman, but I too indulge in debates with my friends where it creates more agitation, and on contrary, taking a reposition add flavors to the substance. The endless list keeps going. Number 4. I took a firm stand that we have to buy a home or else we would be still staying in that old shady apartment complex pouring rent of money in gutters of leasing office. My all friends were buying and we didn't have enough living room to host even parties. Kritika took a large house and so did Ananya and few others. Now we also have a home of our own and the credit goes to me. Me in my mind. Really, girl? You took home because you were jealous that your friends brought one, and stepping in race, you ended up following the same route. I agree on the rent part, that's pretty practical. But the argument to that would be don't you spend times more in a home than an apartment? I agree we all want to eventually stay in a home of your own, but what is a house after all? It's a place where you stay with your family in harmony. It is not about big walls or place in your name, but it's about how nicely you spend every moment within the confined walls. Coming back to staying in a big home, you end up doing everything by yourself, calling the electrician guy, Georgia Power, if water is leaking, etc., calling the technician. Keep working more to pay high mortgages throughout your life. Let's be honest here. At some point of time, we all need to be in that so called home. So say it openly, like many others, I wanted a home and enjoy a different place. Don't give me lame excuses like that. Large space now allows you the privilege of inviting large group of people over dinner party. Come on, I hosted 60 to 70 people get-togethers for many events at my place. Does it add any more contentment element holding these functions in a big living room? Is it really different? It's all in your head. Sukh hai manyava rasta. Happiness resides in your thoughts, beliefs. A happy man can stay buoyant on any part of the earth. Go on, girl, till my brain erupts. Couldn't you list one brilliant aspect instead of jotting down senseless matters? Think about this. Your husband over the time might have brought a home. Why are you taking the credibility of buying a home and how intelligence adds a value here? There is a long list, but this is the last one. Finally, taking a deep breath, the wife said. Here, my breathing rhythms were held up shortly, with my feet being stopped at the side of the aisle and palms holding a book. Eyes pretending to read the pages, but in reality trying to eavesdrop their conversation. I mean, so many things she could have listed. Even the most simple effort you take for the family could be called out instead of this big list of senseless objects which were labeled as a prudent list. Finally, the most genius task the wife articulated turned out to be the most dumbest one. At least the previous act were better than this one. The wife took a pause. The husband looked at her, placed her hand on his shoulder, and suddenly said, You see, because of me, we have so many friend circles Cummings group, Alpharetta group, Duluth group, Diwali group, kids' friends, parents group, and our close friends group. You see, we grow with so many people and learn from them. And I was like, right, and we fight with them, gossip about them, waste time on the new product in the market, what's up? Due to this wide circle of people we know, we and our son could get opportunity to perform for Diwali event. Again me in my mind. Oh, so talent doesn't count, contact matters, huh? Politics. No, I'm not denying the fact that having good quality of people around drives in positivity, but seeing around, it has become a fashion trend of having too many groups, wasting the weekend in unnecessary conversations and simply comparing children. If that is not enough, then the hours are spent on speaking bad about other people and the whole content is a big piece of lie. Instead, why time is not spent on creative element and driving happiness and peace? There are only a few people who are your real friends and stand by you thick and thin in all circumstances. Remaining is a big circus floating around that is simply pushing your life on this hot sand of desert and you are living a rusted life. I agree sometimes people do some positive discussions on health or some good subjects. We host so many parties, the voice continued. My mind also couldn't stop talking and waste $1 million precious time, then sit on top of the roof and complain we don't get few peaceful minutes to spend with our kids. And to get out of this guilt, bring them to library on one of the Sunday and do some baseless arguments and flaunt again the precious time. Wife's voice elevated. With your attitude, we would just have those two or three of your colleagues and some old apartment complex friends. Few of the wife always talking about all books related electronic gadgets, politics, and worldly talks. My mind started thinking again, right? You don't want to indulge in conversations of witty caliber. So you prefer to gather a crowd who are a bunch of gossip mongers and complain boats, often comparing each other's kids. Really, I never judge a person by their IQ or any quality for that matter. It is not important that when friends meet, they should only have brainstorming discussions or boardroom genius discussions. Not at all. It can be funny conversations, any talks that gives peace, relaxation, and refreshes you. But if all negative topics are the standards of some people, then I stop here. Hush. So it is finally done now, the measure of wifey's brain power. Eventually, not over, there was one more in her list. Oh, yeah, and the last one I forgot. When I drove for miles on Tornado when entire population was sitting under their roofs as cowards, she finally ended a hilarious list. Driving in a storm is risky and foolish act to do. People have met with accidents and those who were safe in their home were not cowards but responsible people. Why don't you drive on other days? Taking stunts when the outside weather is bad is an act of stupidity. Get some brilliant friend who will guide you lady to have more sharp-witted parleys. I remembered years ago at my office, one of the colleague was offended because the other person made a fun of him, saying that you have a smart wife who is doing her thesis project at US University. How did she pick you? The other person got offended and retorted back in anger. What do you mean? How she picked me? I supported, saying, you see, he's in the best team, so that's the answer. But trust me, if anyone would have asked me the same question, how did a smart guy marry you? I would have rhetorically responded that I was smart enough to pick him. Lol. Oh, pretty wife, you should have just said one thing and there was no need of the all the above big list. The most intelligent thing you did was to marry him. No husband can deny this and you win the battle. Additionally, you end up making his day. I did not wait to hear the response of the husband, simply not having any patience left after brainstorming five-folded single woman debate. With a sense of pettiness, I moved towards the center place. It was mostly her thinking ability challenging my prudence, and at the same time my inner wisdom confronting with the ways of defining things which differ between individuals trying to seek for common sensical ends. So, moral of the story, everyone, always remember if you have to debate, instead of putting a long list, just say you were smart enough to pick him up and you win the battle. Bye.